Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg took it right to the Fox News audience yesterday on Fox News Sunday. These clips going viral, and for good reason. He's doing 3, 4, maybe even 5 critical things when talking to MAGA, not the least of which is telling them, hey, by the way, you are in a cult, which is a great thing. Let's look at clip number 1. We're going to talk about all the different things that he's doing. This, of course, is the sort of performance that makes him a front runner in the minds of many on the left as a potential VP candidate, maybe someday as president. We don't know whether he's being considered. We don't know about the strategic virtue of 2 people from the same administration necessarily on the ticket. These are all separate questions. But this is exactly the sort of thing that Pete Buttigieg can do, which makes him such a good possible VP or presidential contender.
And was she aware of how he was doing?
We're all aware of how he's doing. Our country has watched our president lead. And yes, we've also seen the fact that he's 10 years older than he was 10 years ago. But unlike Republicans, right, who in Trump's personality cult will take a look at Donald Trump and say he's perfectly fine, even though he seemed unable to tell the difference between Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi, even though he's rambling about electrocuting sharks and Hannibal Lecter, even though he is clearly older and stranger than he was when America first got to know him. They say he's strong as an ox, leaps tall buildings in a single bound.
Well,
we don't have that kind of warped reality on our side.
Well, voters...
on the contrary, the president confronted that reality in what must have been one of the most difficult decisions for an American president to make ever. And he did something that I don't think Donald Trump could even conceive of doing, which is putting his own interests aside for the country.
There are so many important things there. Number 1, squeezing the word cult into the discussion of MAGA on Fox News is a great thing. It's not a big thing, but it's a great thing because it gets it into the ecosystem. Number 2, pointing out to the Fox News audience, Trump's brain seems to be melting. Trump's mistaking people. He's doing these deranged rants at rallies, so on and so forth. That's number 2. Number 3, pointing out that there is a media distortion here as well, where, hey, if you're not hearing that Trump is doing these things, maybe you should question why you're getting your news here, because they don't seem to be telling you about that. Number 4, the use of the Trump is weird and strange thing. It's whether you like, there's this whole thing now about how Kamala Harris and others in the Democratic Party are saying Trump's really weird, Vance is really weird. It's weird behavior. And it's not the most earth-shattering approach to the campaign, but it's showing that the left is completely united right now. Joe Biden has said it's not going to be me. The delegates and the money have come in behind Kamala Harris. We think Trump and Vance are weird, and you hear Pete saying it and you hear others saying it. It's just a reminder as to the united nature right now of the Democratic Party. And number 5, not allowing the host, I believe that's Shannon Bream, although don't hold me to it, not allowing the host to interrupt the points that he's trying to make, all in 60 seconds. This is really, really good stuff. Let's take a look at the next clip here. And this is on the topic of all of the broken promises of Donald Trump and the idea that it doesn't really matter what he says he's going to do. He's not going to do any of it.
The most, whether we're talking about choice and her stance on defending a woman's right to choose versus Donald Trump, who eliminated a right to choose in this country.
Well, he sent it back to the states, to be fair.
Let's be very clear. He is proud of the fact that he demolished the national right to choose in this country, period.
But there are states that are figuring this out. I mean, there are some that are, it's nearly impossible, a 6-week ban or less. But there are others, there are states in this country that allow no restrictions up until the due date of a child.
There was a national right to choose in this country, law of the land, for 50 years, which the vast majority of Americans believe was the right thing to do. But Donald Trump made a promise when he was a candidate, one of the few promises he actually kept, by the way. You know, he didn't keep his promise of 6% economic growth. He didn't keep his promise to drain the swamp.
He did have a pandemic to deal with.
But even before the pandemic, even before the pandemic, America went into a manufacturing recession, which really hurt places like where I come from in the
this should be, this is really good. This should be studied.
Industrial Midwest. But anyway, my point is, He broke his promise for that kind of economic growth. He broke his promise to pass an infrastructure bill, right? He said he would do that. He failed to do it. The Biden-Harris administration got it done. He even broke his promise to that January 6th mob when he said, I will be at your side when you march down to the Capitol. But he actually did keep two promises. He kept his promise to destroy the right to choose in this country, and he kept his promise on tax cuts for the rich. And if you want to know what a second Trump term would be like, I would start by looking at those rare promises that he actually managed to keep.
He did say that he wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, but again, send it to the states where they are hashing this out
empower the states to eliminate women's access to abortion. And also, as you know, the Republican Party continues to be interested in a national abortion ban.
Which he's disavowed completely.
Yeah, he's disavowed a lot of things. I don't believe him. Because he lies all the time.
You think that his pledge that he would not pass a national ban is one that
it's one that's going to go down with most of the promises that he's made and broke.
Yeah, this is absolutely excellent. This is really, really, really good. And the way you know that it's getting good is that the host starts kind of going, okay, got it. Thank you for your insights. I am no longer able to actually rebut what you're saying with any of my flaccid talking points. So thank you so much for providing us your perspective. That's a pivot that you see when it's not going well. Now, I want to play one more clip of this. And here is Pete Buttigieg talking about the crime numbers.
Was for it. The head of the CBP union was for it. And then Trump swooped in to kill it. Not because he thought it was bad policy, but because he didn't want that issue to get better. Because if it got worse, it would be better for him politically.
And I'll ask Senator Johnson about that, because there were a number of provisions that Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, ended up in the final product, felt that there was something they could not vote for there, and they could not move forward.
Okay, come on. We know why they didn't move forward. They moved forward because Donald Trump swooped in. He said, I don't want Joe Biden to get a win. They felt, many of them, that it was a flawed piece of legislation that had too many loopholes and other things they couldn't support. This is how Washington Post, what happened.
This is how they described the border situation. Illegal border crossing soared in the months after Biden took office and immediately rolled back many Trump-era restrictions. They go on to say the number of people taken into custody by the U.S. Border Patrol has reached the highest levels in the agency's 100-year history under Biden, averaging 2 million per year. And there's a lot of that attributed to the fact that there were dozens of things done under the Trump administration that this administration rolled back. And Vice President Harris is part of this administration and had a leading role, according to mainstream media, on handling the border.
Let's get real. Border crossings are down in the wake of President Biden's executive actions that he took after Congress failed to act.
So he could have taken action.
He wanted Congress to resolve that because that would have been more durable. But when Trump came in, talked Republicans out of their own bipartisan project because he didn't want the issue to get better. Remember, the worse things are at the border, the better things get for Donald Trump. So he has a vested interest in it remaining chaotic down there. I think this also helps to explain why he didn't exactly conclusively solve it when it was his turn. But I saw something else really important happening at the Republican National Convention on the border and the talk about immigration, which we all recognize is a problem, which is they tried to paint this narrative that if you live somewhere far from the border and immigration hasn't affected you personally, you need to think that immigration is a driver of crime. That was the real message. Immigration leads to crime.
Well, there are blue state governors and mayors who say every state is a border state now. That's Democrats.
Yeah, and now they're saying, but the false message of the RNC was that this is leading to an increase in crime.
Well,
and I think it's really important that we talk about crime.
Have been very high profile about people. If they had not been in this country cases, illegally,
this is my
people
point,
would still
right?
be alive.
Trying to make people think that crime is up when crime is down under Joe Biden and crime was up under Donald Trump. Now, I don't know how often that gets reported on this network. So if you're watching this at home, do yourself a favor and look up the data.
Well, we invite that.
Great.
We're not going to we invite people at home to do it. We're certainly not going to give them the data, but we invite the people at home to do it. This is top-notch stuff. And one of the things about the last 4 years, including the 2020 primary and just more recently, is we have really learned that there is a very deep bench right now in the Democratic Party. Think about the number of people who could easily step in today and be president, and it would be just like no big deal. It would obviously be a big deal to have a president changed in the middle of a term. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is, think about if whatever the circumstances were, we had to say, hey, we need someone to be president now. Oh, okay. Well, Kamala Harris could very much do it. Pete Buttigieg could very much do it. Gretchen Whitmer could do it. Josh Shapiro could do it. Gavin Newsom could do it. Tim Walz could do it. Mark Kelly could do it. J.B. Pritzker could do it. Hakeem Jeffries could do it. it's such a long list of people where it would be like, yeah, just let me learn what I need to do, and I'm going to be a fine president, and there's going to be no concern. There's going to be no scandal. It's just going to be kind of a calm situation. And that's just a random smattering. Meanwhile, on the right, unless they want to go back to someone that MAGA hates, Mitt Romney, I don't agree with the guy, but like, he could be president, okay? Chris Christie, he could do it. But the people they think of are outrageous extremists, and there is no bench of reasonable people that could do the job. So a reminder, seeing Pete Buttigieg there, not only of the tone that Democrats need to strike, but also a reminder of why he may be in consideration to be Kamala Harris's vice presidential running mate. I think one of the most interesting recent developments in medicine is our new understanding of how metabolism impacts aspects of our health. And that's why I love our sponsor, Lumen. Lumen's the world's first handheld metabolic coach. Quite simply, it's just a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it'll tell you if you're burning fat or carbs. And on that basis, it'll give you tailored guidance with the goal of improving nutrition, workouts, sleep, even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning. You'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. And then Lumen will give you a personalized nutrition plan for the day that's based on those particular measurements. Now, you can also breathe into it before or after workouts and meals, which gives you other sets of actionable insights. Your metabolism is like your body's engine. It's how your body turns food into fuel, and it keeps you going and feeling good. And Lumen will give you a better understanding of that. Go to lumen.me/Pacman to get 15% off your Lumen. The link is in the description.